Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vasel, and we're taking a look at the Fantastic Four, which are not even in this game. Anyway, Marvel United, Coming of Galactus. Yeah, Galactus! Woo! Chibi Galactus! So this adds one hero, 4 villains, and Galactus to your games. People are buying it to get this miniature, but it is the ultimate thing to fight in the Marvel Universe. Unless you're fighting Ego or something like that. But I don't know. Anyway, a pretty big deal here. This is the last set I'm looking at from the new Marvel United Multiverse set. So let's take a look into it, and we'll be right back. So first off, there's one hero in this set, and that is Nova. Frankie Ray Nova here, which their miniature is all acrylic. I don't know if I love that. I mean, it's kind of cool, but I guess if you're not painting it, it's better. So Nova can place a crisis token in an adjacent location to attack there. That's interesting. If there's no crisis tokens that are involved in the bad guy, it's fantastic. But you gotta keep an eye on it. But it's also a wild. Nova also has 3 Nova Flames where you can discard a card to the bottom of the deck to do a damage to everything else in your location. That's interesting. It also kills all the civilians, so you gotta keep a mind out for that. And then after that, just a bunch of tokens. Nova's fine. They're definitely a lower tier hero for me. As a villain, Nova's much more interesting. They don't have any threats. Instead, they're just loading up everything with crisis tokens. So this is a game where kind of the heroes get weaker as it goes through, because Nova's cards, which are mostly, hey, put a crisis token in their location, or if there's not one there, put it there, and then the BAMs are just going to be adding crisis token to both of the locations adjacent to their location. So if there's 3 or more crisis tokens in a location, we cancel the end effect, the part that's on that location, which means at the beginning of the game, though, you have these open. They're just going to close as time goes by. So that's kind of interesting. And also, if you end your turn in these things, you're going to take damage. And if every location has 3 crisis tokens, you lose. So that's kind of tricky. This is one where you definitely almost want to play with people who can get rid of crisis tokens. Otherwise, Nova's just going to wipe the floor with you pretty quickly, too. Firelord's another tricky enemy. There's a couple things about them. First, you can't damage them. They have no hit points. Instead, they replace the 3 missions with free Firelord, which you need to be filled up with civilians, thugs, and finish clearing the threats. And you need to do all 3 to win. That's not helpful by the fact that there's Annihilus Seekers in all these spots where thugs take 2 damage to defeat and civilians need 2 heroics, and that's in every single location. Fortunately, Firelord runs around and he's going to defeat the thugs, rescue civilians, and do damage to the henchmen that are there, which is kind of an interesting thing. You're trying to free him, and I guess he's a kind of a good guy here. But unfortunately, he can also put these cards back into play, which I don't know if I love that. I mean, you still get the skull off of it, but they're always going to be there. You almost kind of hope that he is the person that is going to take out some of these cards for you. And he's likely going to beat you just because he keeps drawing more master plan cards. Just like Nova, Firelord is pretty tough. Airwalker, they live. This is a guy who is just going to keep, or it follows, I guess is a better term. He's just going to keep coming after you. You can get rid of crisis tokens, spend 2 heroic actions, because if you ever have 4 crisis tokens, he's going to take you out. And every single location is hyperlight speed, which if he's in that when the hero enters it, he immediately will move to the next location with no heroes, and he's just constantly running away from you. So it's going to be really hard to take him out. And then he's not going to bring out a lot of thugs or civilians, but he is going to give you a lot of crisis tokens. So he's kind of an interesting one to fight. I don't know if I like chasing him like a jackrabbit so much. By the way, Airwalker looks like he has red wings. I'm not sure I like this just because it looks like he has wings on him. Anyway, all right, Terrax. Terrax is easily the most powerful herald that's in the comic books of Galactus. I think he's probably even more powerful than Silver Surfer. But anyhow, he's going to be increasing his domination track. He gets to the end, and he wins. And so when a hero is KO'd, he doesn't activate his BAM, and this just goes up 1. You can't move on locations that have a move token between them. So you have to remove these. He's going to slow you down. And he's going to just be adding tons of civilians and thugs on the board. And then he's just going to walk around and be punching you really hard, or bring threat cards back into play, or putting a token between the locations, which is going to slow you down. Remember, you have to pay to go through these tokens. So he's a tough cookie. He's not as tricky as the other three, actually. He's just tough. But hey, maybe you want to fight all four of them at the same time. To do that, you use this board. You put the regular missions on here, and you'll play with all four heralds, although the game comes with a card specifically for you to use a Silver Surfer and place one of the heralds, or you can actually play with any four villains of your choice. The heralds are going to be placed at the locations around the board, as well as the heroes. By the way, this game comes with a bunch of locations here that are continents. We'll come back to these, because these are specifically going to have to do with Galactus. But you're going to put them around the board, and you're going to have a special set of threat cards. Each villain ignores a damage. A hero here takes 1 damage. All these villains are going to have 3 health. And so you're trying to take these heralds out. And like I said, you have to be, there's a lot more going on. These villains are now vulnerable to damage. The villainous plot here, if there are no crises left in the pool, and you're going to have a pool of crisis tokens based on how easy or hard you want it to be, or if this track reaches 9 or 12, again, if you're playing on basic or tough. So you are trying to take out these villains, and they are going to be moving with a special set of Heralds of Galactus card. So you'll turn this over. This will show some stuff that moves. Everything falls apart. Each hero on a location with 1 or more crisis tokens takes the damage. And then you're going to look at each of the Herald's tokens here at the top. And what this is going to do is it's going to tell you what they do. So I'll add 1 thug to their location, 1 civilian to their location, a crisis token to this one. And here you do the master plan card if it was played by this villain. When you're done, this token moves here, and these all move down. So you're trying to get rid of these guys as fast as you can. It's hard. Yeah, you all know you're here to look at Galactus. So first of all, let's take a look at this figure, which is way lighter than I would think. So here's Galactus. And we actually have played way back when this was on Kickstarter, we played a version of this game if you want to watch how it works. Galactus sits in the middle here. There's no regular missions to fight him. I'm not going to go over every rule because there's a lot of changes, a lot of stuff written here. But Galactus is moving around to face the things. He has these guys out. You don't even need their miniatures, but you put them out just for nifty. These are the heralds that you have to fight against. He comes with a giant deck of cards, of which you'll remove 6 of them randomly, and you'll play with the rest. And there's just all sorts of things in here. But one thing I do love in here, a new herald, you have these extra threat cards that can come out, and you can pick anybody. I'll be like, Sabretooth's a new herald, or Iceman's a new herald, or Captain America's a new herald, whatever you want it to be. But he's going to be moving around, and you have a deck of Stop Galactus cards, randomly shuffled, and you have to do these in order. So, calm down civilians, defeat thugs, defeat Firelord, defeat Terrax, etc., etc., etc. The last one, and you have Silver Surfer, by the way, again, can be inserted here as one of his heralds. And then the last one, convince Galactus to spare Earth. You do that, and you win. I'm assuming it's possible, but I haven't seen it done yet. But this is how Galactus works, sort of. Like I said, there's some rules on how he faces, how he moves, how overflow works. Generally, he's a pain in the butt. In the Earth's butt. I like this miniature here. I want to say for myself. So I'm giving this expansion, I'll just start off with my rating right away, an 8 out of 10. It's really cool. Fighting Galactus is epic and interesting. It's also exhausting and tiring sometimes. I'm just like, oh, Galactus. This is not something I'm going to do. To be fair, I also don't fight Apocalypse and the 4 Horsemen of Apocalypse that often. I do fight the Sentinels, though. Of all the big things, I think the Sentinels were the most fun for me. But after the Sentinels, I like Galactus more than I like the 4 Horsemen of Apocalypse, and I like Galactus more than the Heralds in this game. Fighting the Heralds is fine, but if I want to fight multiple bad guys, I got the Sinister Six for that. The Maximum Carnage expansion. Check that out. But I do like fighting Galactus. He's big, he's epic, it feels impossible. And as of this point, I have not beaten him yet, although I'm sure I'll get plenty of comments of people who have beaten him. But I still think he's really cool. I like the aspect that he's here. I like the aspect that anybody could be his Herald. Like, Silver Surfer is an obvious choice, but I could see someone making Johnny Storm one of his Heralds for fun. Well, I guess Johnny Storm's not a bad guy. You'd have to pick some other people, but like pick some other villain that'd be interesting as a bad guy. Magneto, that'd be a pretty hard hero. But anyway, I just find that sort of thing to be interesting. Of course, you got to mix and match, and they definitely say it might not be balanced if you play with other Heralds. I think that they definitely did a good job making this epic with the locations being Asia and North America. That's pretty impressive. And it's not too many rules. I mentioned I wasn't going to go over every little rule of Galactus, but it's not too bad. You can play it. And so if you're looking for something epic to play in Marvel United, this is for you. If I was buying this set, this would be one of the last ones I would buy unless I wanted to paint this and put this on my shelf, which I wouldn't mind having. So that's Galactus. That's the Heralds. The Heralds, some bad enemies all around, and then a okay hero, but still an epic experience. I'm Tom Vasel, and this is The Coming of Galactus on the Dice Tower. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you like this review or whatever you just watched, wasn't it amazing? Check out our channel, Dice Tower. We have all kinds of things. We review games, we do top 10s, we play games live. It's all about board games, but especially the people who play them. Check out Dice Tower YouTube channel.